The Civil Rights Movement is another important event that took place in the 1960s. The Civil Rights Movement was the campaign for Black Americans to win equal rights and end racial discrimination. Even though slavery had been abolished in the United States in 1865, Black Americans continued to face serious discrimination across the United States, particularly in southern states. Following the abolition of slavery, Jim Crow laws were supposed to create separate but equal conditions, facilities for Black and white Americans in, education, transportation, public facilities. However, this was not the case, and Black Americans were routinely discriminated against and not treated separate but equally. The process of desegregation started following World War II with the armed forces who were desegregated in 1948. But efforts to achieve equal rights for Black Americans really kind of kicked up a gear with the 1960s. In 1961, the Freedom Riders boarded interstate buses to test the desegregation of buses, bus stations, and bathrooms. And there are many instances of these Freedom Riders being attacked, and there was one particular instance where a bus that these Freedom Riders were on was set on fire. In 1963, the lunch counter protest began. So Black Americans, they sat at white-only lunch counters in restaurants and just asked to be served. Martin Luther King emerged as an important civil rights leader during this time. In 1963, he led a huge march of 250,000 people in Washington, where he made his very famous "I Have a Dream" speech. In 1964, President Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. In 1965, President Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, which banned discrimination or efforts to discriminate against Black Americans through voting regulations like poll taxes or literacy tests. Black voting registration increased from 35% in 1963 to 65% in 1969. The Civil Rights Movement is significant for a number of reasons. It showed the power of protest and passive resistance. It also showed that racism and discrimination were still widespread throughout the United States. The Civil Rights Movement also inspired other campaigns, such as the Civil Rights Campaign in Northern Ireland.